Good morning. This is Juan Garcia reporting for ninjapopnews, and it's just been a very confusing morning over the internet. I'm just looking over right now, and I'm pretty sure you guys have already seen like screenshots for the Walking Dead game. You know, the FPS that's Activision has that's based off the Walking Dead show on AMC, and it obviously looks like a pile of crap. If you look at the graphics, look terrible. There's no idea what the storyline is. I don't know if it was supposed to be some kind of tech demo, but it looks absolutely horrible. And it just leads me to believe that not every game, not every TV show should be a video game. I mean, look at the Game of Thrones. When the Game of Thrones was released as a video game, they made an attempt to corner the people who played, let's say, Dragon Age. The game was like Dragon Age with a little bit of Mass Effect mixed in, and it did not work for the game. The graphics were terrible, the storyline was terrible, even the voice acting was terrible. And that's saying a lot for a Bethesda game because the voice acting tends to be terrible then too, but I digress. You look at it and the Walking Dead game just looks absolutely horrible. I mean, the graphics look early to mid PlayStation 2. I don't know if they're using the Call of Duty engine for it, but I will tell you this, the game is being developed by Terminal Reality. Now, if you guys don't know what Terminal Reality is, they're the guys who are behind Star Wars Connect. Yeah, and you guys already know how bad of a game Star Wars Connect was. And let's just say I didn't have high hopes for the game beforehand. And I just don't have. This just lowered my expectations to already a lower level. Another thing that I want to talk about that's really, really, really heavy on my mind, and I know a lot of other PlayStation gamers, especially PlayStation exclusive gamers, is Sony already has the patent. They've signed on for the patent that allows the ban of used games onto their new console. And Jack Tretton has already been interviewed and asked about it before. Does he want this to happen? And he's sort of said, no, I don't really want it to happen. But if Sony were to do this, I don't think Sony really understands how much of a hole they're in when it comes to the technology scene. They're falling over in Japan. It's not really noticeable, but they're falling over in Japan. And in America, they've totally lost their dominance in the gaming market. I'm still a PlayStation gamer, and I love PlayStation to life. But the fact of the matter is, you guys, Sony doing this is really gonna devastate the used game market and people who cannot afford the $70 games that's going to come out. Because let's face it, with every new console that comes out, the price of the games rises by $10 to $15. So we're looking at a standpoint of being screwed if Sony does this. But there's no news about that coming out for Xbox. So Xbox may end up being my first choice for a console rather than this generation PlayStation, my first console. I don't know for you guys, but this is something that's just totally ridiculous. I've never understood the reason why games have always been so expensive mid life cycle towards a console. A game, if you're not Activision and if you're not EA Sports, your game, or Rockstar, your game is not going to sell millions and millions of copies the way you think they are. Yet developers constantly push thousands of $millions into this game, not realizing that they're losing their money. And really, a game like, let's say, Mass Effect really only takes a team of 100 people. I don't know how much they're paid. I'm not necessarily sure, but if you're an RPG, you're obviously at a point where you're not going to get your money back. And a price drop is a way that you can actually accumulate everything that you've put into that game, all the money that you put into that game. And I'm sorry, but mid lifespan of a console, the games don't need to be $60. They need to be dropped down to $30. And I'm not necessarily against purchasing a new game. If you're going to, by all means, if the game's just now coming out, if you're purchasing, let's say, Battlefield 3, I mean, if you were purchasing it when it just came out versus it getting used, yeah, go ahead and get the game new. That's something that's totally understandable. I mean, you're obviously, if you buy used, you're going to miss out on that multiplayer, which you'll end up paying $10 for. But once you buy the game new, you get the multiplayer for free, and you get something that's fun. But let's say Sony, on the other hand, who has implemented passes, yeah, that's what they're called, online passes, it confuses me and it vexes me. You're trying to corner a market that EA's already doing, and it's not working for them. Hell, look at them with Origin. They're trying to copy off what Steam is doing, and it's really not working for them because they're looking at it through the eyes of a dude who's working behind a desk of a corporate man instead of trying to work with the gamers. That's the reason why Steam has become so popular. That's the reason why Steam is so popular in the first place for streaming video games, because Gabe Newell and Valve know what gamers want, and they side with the gamers and they work with the gamers. And let's just face it, the rest of the gaming industry, the way I look at it is, when you look at Steam and let's say console gaming, PC gaming and console gaming, PC gaming is more on the lines of DC, where they'll work with the consumer, and console gaming is on the lines of Marvel, where they don't care. You get the game, and it's a person who owns a store purchases the game, and that's it. They don't necessarily work with anybody else. And let's face it, that's bad. They need to work with. They need to work on that, and they need to get through with the MSRP system to work on a price drop. The only new game that I know of that's supposed to be coming out this year that's actually going to be $30 is Deadlight and Riptide. It's literally a sequel to Dead Island, not a DLC, and it's only going to be $30. And I really commend Deep Silver for doing that. It's something that's smart, and you're still getting the same good graphics that you got in the last game, minus a few of the bugs that the first game had. So that's something that's pretty good. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, what about the developers? What about these developers? They're not getting their money when you purchase used games. Here's the issue. A new game is only going to have, if you're a new game, and like I said before, if you're not Activision or EA, you guys aren't going to be making millions of dollars within your first 6 months. Look at Odyssey, Journey to what is it called? Journey Odyssey to the West. It was a game that was developed by Ninja Theory. They used the Unreal 3 engine, and it was a very beautiful game. Think Uncharted, just more colorful. It had a great storyline. The storyline was based off of a 1,000-year-old Chinese epic poem. I won't get into that because I honestly don't know about the epic poem. But other than that, the video game was very good. It was a game, and towards the end, it's a game that makes you think. And the game came out, 2010, and mid-2012, I was able to pick up the game. Not mid-2012, mid-2011, I was able to pick up the game for $15 at a Kmart. And Call of Duty Black Ops, which was still there, I would still pick up for $50. So you have to look at it. If your game is not going to sell, there is going to be a massive price drop, and you're still not going to get your money back. So it would, in my opinion, it would just be smarter to release the game half of the cost because it's towards the end of a generation, instead of trying to be greedy and try to rob all the money. Then again, I'm just a consumer, so hey, that's just my opinion. And Sony, if you really do put in that software that does not allow us to play used games, you're really gonna screw up. You already screwed up with the PlayStation 3 system when it first came out by adding a $600 tag onto it. No amount of games. There was only 2 or 3 games that came out for the system, and by having a massive shortage. I don't understand it. When Xbox released the Xbox 360, when Microsoft released the Xbox 360, I should say, they had enough systems. Granted, a lot of them got red ring. They still had more than enough systems, and they had more than enough games to come out for it. And I just don't understand what gain you're getting from banning used games, because it's really, when you really think about it, it's only gonna raise your profits maybe 0.24%. So you're gonna get what, maybe 2 million out of it. I kind of just don't understand it. But I will tell you this: if this does happen, you can count on me on hacking your system to where it does play used games. This is pretty much the end of my complaint video. You guys know what to do. Ermac77 on Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network. Message me on ninjapopnews on Facebook. Like us on Facebook and Twitter. And just tell me what you think about what's going on with Sony, because to me it's just vexing and perplexing. It just vexes me as to how they believe that this is really going to help out their company, and their company is already failing in the gaming market. Thank you, and